same thing. So let's go to Isaiah chapter 65 and let's see where Isaiah said this. 65 and verse 1 says this. I am sought of them that ask not for me. I am found of them that sought me not. I said, behold me, unto a nation that was not called by my name. In other words, who is the nation that was called by his name? Israel is the nation called by his name. That's the nation. Yehudah is the nation that was called by his name. Those are the people, his people. But he's saying here, behold me unto a nation that was not called by my name. Verse 2, I have spread out my hands all the day unto a rebellious people, talking about Israel, talking about Yehudah, which walketh in a way that was not good, after their own thoughts. Question, how many believers out there today are not walking according to the word of Yah, but according to their own thoughts? Are you one of those people? Or can you substantiate everything that you're doing in your life according to that word? But let's move on. Who are the people who asked not for Yahweh, sought not Yahweh, was not called by Yahweh's name? Them that are no people, a foolish nation. These people, whoever they are, shall provoke Israel to jealousy. That is their purpose. So now, let's go back to the book of Acts. Let's go to chapter 13, verse 42. And when the Yahudi, or the Jews, were going out of the synagogue, the Gentiles besought that these words might be preached to them the next Sabbath. Now when the congregation was broken up, many of the Yahudi and religious proselytes followed Paul and Barnabas, who, speaking to them, persuaded them to continue in the grace of Allah. And the next Sabbath day came almost the whole city together to hear the word of Yah. But when the Yahudi saw the multitudes, they were filled with envy, and spake against those things which were spoken by Paul, contradicting and blaspheming. Listen to that. Then Paul and Barnabas waxed bold and said, it was necessary, pay attention, it was necessary that the word of Yah should first have been spoken to you. But seeing ye put it from you, and judge yourselves unworthy of everlasting life, lo, we turn to the Gentiles. For so hath Yah commanded us, saying, I have set thee to be a light of the Gentiles. He's now interjecting something that Yeshayahu wrote. But let's move on. That thou shouldest be for salvation unto the ends of the earth. Okay? In Acts chapter 18, beginning of verse 4, it reads, and he reasoned in the synagogue every Sabbath, and persuaded the Yahudi and the Greeks. And when Silas and Timotheus were come from Macedonia, Paul was pressed in the spirit, and testified to the Yahudi that Yahushua was Mashiach. And when they opposed themselves and blasphemed, he shook his raiment and said unto them, your blood be upon your own heads. I am clean. From henceforth I will go unto the Gentiles. So the nation, now when that word went forth, the nation that didn't seek, the nation that wasn't called by his name, the Gentiles. But let's see exactly who they are. Let's go back to Genesis chapter 9. Let's read verse 27. And this ties into that same curse that we were looking at. Now, the first part of that we seen where it said, blessed be Yahweh, mighty one of Shem. Okay? We also seen where it said, cursed be Canaan, the servant of servants shall he be among his brothers. Now we're going to see what he said about Yefet. It says, Elohim shall enlarge Yefet, or Japheth. And he shall dwell in the tents of Shem. What does that mean, brothers and sisters? And Canaan shall be his servant. Now let's go to Genesis chapter 10 and verse 2. And it says, the sons of Japheth, or Japheth. Now we're just going to focus on the first son, Gomer. Now according to the Greek historian Herodotus of the 5th century before the Common Era, the Cimmerians, the descendants of Gomer, were the Cimmerians. Let me write that up on the board for you so you can research this. Okay, Cimmerians, they're from Gomer. He's the firstborn of Japheth. Okay, the Cimmerians inhabited the region north of the Caucasus and the Black Sea. Now the term Caucasus, meaning the Caucasus Mountains, that is the term from which we get our term Caucasian, referring to white folk. Keep that in mind. The Cimmerians inhabited the region north of the Caucasus and the Black Sea during the 8th and 7th centuries before the Common Era in what is now Ukraine and Russia. The archaeologists Rene Rowe and others have argued that no one has demonstrated with archaeological evidence the presence of Cimmerians in the southern parts of Russia or elsewhere. Okay, so in Khazaria. Now this guy, Khazaria, not guy, but this place. Khazaria was located between the Black Sea and Caspian Sea, north of the Caucasus Mountains. Now, why are we talking about Khazaria? In the area occupied by Armenia, Georgia, Ukraine, and Russia. All right? Now, at some point in the last decade of the 8th century or the early 9th century, the Khazar royalty and nobility converted to Judaism. Keep that in mind. And part of the general population may have followed. The extent of the conversion is debated, just like the point that was read about Rene Rowe. There's always going to be somebody who has the opposing view. But keep in mind, all we have to do is look at our world today, and we're going to see as we go along. There's always going to be some point of contention, as with the truth being brought out. So let's move on. The 10th century Persian historian Ibn al-Faqih reported that all the Khazars are Jews. Notwithstanding this statement, most scholars believe that only the upper classes converted to Judaism. There is some support for this in contemporary Muslim texts. Okay, so in other words, there's some other evidences. The Khazars enjoyed close relations with the Jews of the Levant and Persia. Now, let's go back to the scriptures. In Genesis chapter 10 and verse 3, it says, and the sons of Gomer, Ashkenaz. Think about that. How many of you familiar with this term? See? They refer to themselves as the Ashkenazi Jews. Think about that. Because they are acknowledging that they come from Gomer, who came from Japheth. In other words, when the scriptures talk about how Japheth shall dwell in the tents of Shem. In other words, when you see the white Jews of today, this is the nation that the Creator said he was going to use to provoke his people to jealousy. This happened according to the will of the Most High. It says, and the sons of Gomer, Ashkenaz. And let me read this excerpt about the Hebrew language. Ashkenazi Hebrew is the pronunciation system for biblical and Mishnaic Hebrew favored for liturgical use by Ashkenazi Jewish practice.